All right. Well, I think we're at the top of the hour, and we have such a great session tonight. I think we're ready to get started. So welcome, everyone. We really are excited that you joined us this evening. We have a great session ahead. I'm really, really excited. My name is Bria Jones, and I'm the Director of Customer Success at Bulb Digital Portfolios. And I get the privilege of being able to introduce our speaker tonight. So throughout the session, feel free to chat us any questions, and Belinda, I can help answer chat or share any questions that come along. So I really am honored to introduce our speaker tonight, Belinda Medellin. And Belinda is the founder and CEO of Bmyvillage. It's a one-to-one virtual career coaching platform that she started, and it's for motivated teachers. It's for motivated teachers by highly successful award-winning teachers. It's an incredible opportunity for you to grow as a professional. Belinda was also named the 2020 Texas Secondary Teacher of the Year for Region 20 in Texas and the 2020 Trinity University of Excellence in Education Prize recipient. She also pioneered the world's first user experience, so a UX pathway at the high school level as a master teacher at Cass Tech High School in San Antonio, which was a huge accomplishment. And I wanted to wrap up by just giving Belinda a huge thanks and a big thanks to all of our military service men and women in honor of Veterans Day today. Belinda was actually a photographer in the Navy. So thank you so much, Belinda, for your service. So I am very excited to learn from you tonight and find out more about marketing your personal brand in education. So take it away, Belinda.
Thank you so much, Bria. I want to say yes, thank you to all my fellow veterans, and I am so thankful to be able to share with you this evening my journey, because educators, we all know we just want to help, and it's always going to be in our heart. And I have had quite a journey, and I want to share everything that I've learned with you all. So let's dive in. And because I used Bulb in the classroom, I use Bulb for everything. That's what I'm going to be using for tonight's webinar. But if you have questions at any time, just please put the items in the chat room, and Bria is going to definitely help me out. And I have notes, so you might see me looking over there because I want to make sure I give you all of the information as best as possible. So Bria, I'm going to share my screen if you can let me know. Can you can see it?
I can see it. Looks great.
Okay, so before we dive right in, Bria did an amazing job introducing a little bit of my journey, but I'm going to share real quick. I was a secondary teacher for 14 years, and my journey, how it went, my story was college sports to an undergrad in musical theater, to the US Navy as a photographer, then becoming a single parent, working in corporate America for AT&T. Then I became a teacher via the alternative certification route and taught everything from theater to graphic design to speech and debate to AVID to UX design, and became was humbled with the awards of the Texas Secondary Teacher for Region 20. I became a speaker, an EdTech solution specialist, consultant, and now teacherpreneur. So I'll talk about that a little bit later. But throughout that entire journey, it took a lot for me to realize just how marketable all of my skills were, from starting from the college sports and maybe even before that. So that's what I really want to do today, is show you as an educator, you are more than just a teacher. You're more than what is in the classroom, and how to start packaging your story, your skills, your assets of who you are into the next chapter of your story. So we're going to jump right in, and you are going to get access to this Bulb page, and you can use it as a template for Bulb users. If you're not a Bulb user, it's very easy. You can sign up for Bulb and just hit use template up there. But you're more than welcome to use this to just start your journey, because sometimes that's the hardest part, is getting started. So I'm talking about your professional brand as an educator. So let's jump right in. What is a personal brand? With social media right now, the idea of personal branding, it's the norm. So if you don't have a personal brand yet, I guarantee if you have teenagers or definitely younger people in your life, you're going to see that they're already branding themselves. So it is a business concept. It's a key way to market and distinguish products from each other. And we know Coca-Cola and Pepsi are the big dogs when it comes to soft drinks, but it's the little things that make up a brand. So just right off the bat in the photos, there might be people who love the holidays rather than the outdoors. So you're already targeting a certain market. You might like a throwback to the sleeker design with Coca-Cola or Pepsi. So it's just the little nuances sometimes that say, okay, I'm going to buy this brand over another brand. And that's how you need to think about yourself as an educator, is what really sets me apart. And it could be something so minute as the tone of your voice when you speak, or something that you really can control as to your classroom management skills. So the consumers of these products, the consumer of your product, you're going to have to think about how they think, how they feel, how they react to things, and their buying habits, basically. So what you have to offer, who you're trying to sell it to, what do they really look for? So there's a little bit of research also in your personal brand, and it's going to change depending on your focus. So it's all about how you package yourself. And the first things first, as an educator, what I've learned, and this is all based on my journey, is you really need to take yourself out of that just a teacher mindset. And it took me about a year to really get out of that mindset, a year and a half to stop saying, well, I'm just a teacher. Because I'm realizing with all these different people that I'm around is teachers can do so much. And until that teacher realizes that my skills are beyond the classroom, then they're not going to really meet their full potential. So the same thing that teachers want for their students. So I'm going to share with you how I went from teacher mindset to educational powerhouse mindset that you are going to definitely be able to get to. So where I started was, that social emotional learning is I really needed to focus on what is it about me that sets me apart. And what I did were things called brain dumps. So, all those brainstorming activities. I really like to write, so that's easy for me. I know on Bulb, there's an audio feature. So if you like to just talk and hear yourself, you can do that as well. But I started with a brain dump and a career narrative. And I'm going to go down in my Bulb page. And what is a brain dump? You probably did this with your kids. You can actually get a piece of paper or a digital document and set a timer. Setting the time is very important because you have less time to think. And I got this ideology from user experience design thinkers, where they have to come up with a lot of crazy ideas as quick as possible. And setting that stamp for you makes that possible right away. So set a timer for 3 to 4 minutes and start writing about your dreams, your goals, what you think you're good at, things that you love to perform. And it doesn't matter how crazy they are. If you love cooking Indian cuisine, or if you like doing cross stitch, or classroom management is your jam and you're researching it every night, go ahead and do that. Or you might be a parent and saying, my best part of parenting is when I get to take my kids to a museum. You can write stuff like that down. And once you're done, go back and highlight, get all of your, the ones with OCD, get your color coding highlights, and just start highlighting words or phrases that you think are repetitive so that you can visually see what's going on. And once you have that, your Bulb page is a great place to store things. So you can always go back and revisit where you were, to decide where you want to go. It's all about the process. Now, a career narrative looks the same, but it's more like a story of all the things that you've done, all the jobs you've had. what led to them, how you got them, why you left. And I'm going to show you what my career narrative looks like. Bria, can we still see it with me going back and forth on the tabs?
Yep, looks good.
Okay. So in the career narrative, I have the color coding to things that really stood out. And yes, my first job was at Dairy Queen, and I got let go because it was really hard to make those curly cues. And that story really resonated with me. So as this one, you can take as long as you need, because your career story is probably much longer than mine if you've been teaching for a while. And I'm going to actually give you a resource at the end, something that will really guide you through that narrative. So I started with that concept, then went to affinity mapping. Once again, I loved meeting user experience design professionals because I saw the process of design thinking. And it's just a fancy way to put things together on a whiteboard, interactive whiteboard. And it's taking sticky notes. You can do it in person, and the same thing as a brain dump. So you give yourself a timer and you write one item on these sticky notes, and then you put them into themes so you can start seeing developing themes that come up in your passions and what you like and what you don't like. So, oops, I think I stopped it. I apologize, everyone. I guess I'll ask Bria right now. Do we have any questions so far while I'm getting
Yeah, while you're pulling it up, I know you kind of briefly showed your career narrative, but do you have an example within your goal where you've taken that narrative, or that's linked in the presentation, or just seeing what that looks like?
Yes, I will actually link it in Bulb as well.
Okay, great.
So thank you for that. Okay, so I'm going to show you, this is what a Jamboard looks like. And this was something for students, but basically you can move things around and put them in the theme that you might see reoccurring, that, you know, Indian cuisine, you like going to museums, and your theme might be, I'm fascinated by international things, or I'm fascinated by history in some way. So this is what a Jamboard looks like. And I actually created a video for you, but I will put that career narrative there. So we're talking about really coming up with a focus, seeing it. You actually have to take action. It's that kinesthetic learning to help yourself realize these amazing things about you. And as you're going through each item, keep telling yourself, I'm amazing as a teacher. I can do so much. Because once you start falling back into that, I'm just a teacher, then you're regressing. So the next thing that I'm putting on here, and I will put mine, is work it daily. I tried to find the best of the best. I grew up in Chicago, so I'm like, I had the Michael Jordan era, and I really have that concept that if I want to be up here, then I really need to find those people that are higher or right there. So work it daily is an amazing HR, I'm not even gonna say person, because she's done so much in the HR world, but she's a thought leader in resume writing. Things have changed so much since I went to high school in the 90s. You don't have objectives anymore, but she also, that's where she starts, is that process of really getting into the mindset. So work it daily will give you the entire process that you can do. And you can do your career narrative right here in the page. The last thing that I did to help me stay focused, you guys probably have heard of a lot of different personality tests, strength tests, but there are just a few that really stand out, and one that I use all the time. I was lucky to be at a school where all the teachers took this, and we learned the different strengths of each teacher, but how to work with each other. But then that's what helped me to realize, oh my gosh, I could do so much. And I use the Clifton Strength Finder, and I have the link there, but Tony Robbins' disc profile is great too, and the predictive index. And with the strength finders, I got my top 5 strengths, and the book that goes along with it really goes into more in depth about how each strength can really help you make those decisions of what you should be going after. So if you take one of these tests, you can go back into this bulb page and just keep yours there. I've actually printed mine. So I know everybody knows about vision boards. I do have a vision board that keeps me focused, and this is on my vision board. And whenever I go after something or I try something, my mindset is, I know I can sell my brand because this is my brand right here. So we're taking that first step in the mindset, just a few ideas. But once again, if you want to be the best, learn from the best. And you don't have to go back to school. If you want to, that's fine. But I'm going the amazing route of podcasts. There's so many things out there, but start finding podcasts with things that you believe you might like or you're really interested in, but the podcasts that really promote that strength inside of you to start realizing you are a phenomenal brand. And of course, the inspirational books or audio books, if you are really busy and you don't have time to sit down and snuggle up with a book. The podcast that I'm going to recommend, and I'll let you know why, The School of Greatness. So Lewis Howes was a former NFL player, and you hear his story and you realize, okay, you think he was a former NFL player, but he really hit rock bottom, lost everything. And he has the same idea. If I want to be the best, learn from the best, from everything to nutrition. He's had some teachers that have created amazing things to some phenomenal people like athletes, and Tony Robbins was actually one of his podcasts that he did. But I highly recommend this. You can go through it and find what you need for that day. So if you're in education and you're thinking, okay, I might want to dabble in the EdTech world a little bit, he has interviewed some EdTech giants. So I definitely recommend that. The next one is, it's not just for girls, but it's called Good Girls Get Rich. And Karen Yankovich is another thought leader in not just using LinkedIn, but maximizing your brand in LinkedIn and how to come up with that in the digital world. LinkedIn is a great place for professionals. I know a lot of people use Facebook, and some people might say, I don't want to use LinkedIn and it takes a lot of time. But if you're serious about expanding your career in education, LinkedIn is where it's at. And it's, a lot of people think it's just a resume, but it's no longer going that way. It is more like showing your network of who you are and where you want to become, and not where you want to become, what you want to become and what you have to offer. So I actually put my bulb in there because a portfolio is different. It shows the expansion of how you think and how you've grown. And then with the resume, the interactive resume with Bulb now, I put that on LinkedIn. So anyone who is in my network can actually go to the places in the resume where I say what I can do, and now I can show you. So she has all these different ideas and helps people out. So you can follow that journey or pick and choose which LinkedIn strength you want to have right now. So I highly recommend that. And I'm all about reflection. Most teachers are here after you listen to a podcast or your first podcast. I recommend maybe submitting an audio reflection so you can go back and once again see where you were or keep motivating yourself. And the part that is sometimes hard for teachers is the investing in yourself. Okay, so you know that right now when you get here, you're ready to get out of the classroom. And some of that mindset is, it's hard. You don't want to leave your students. They mean so much to you. You may have students where they have younger siblings and their parents come up to you and say, oh, little Johnny's sister can't wait to be in your class. And sometimes that keeps teachers in the classroom longer than what they need to, because you have that teacher heart, and it is okay. but there's so many different fields in education at the district level, K through 12, outside of it, and you need to really see what's out there. So make a little investment to go to certain conferences and put yourself outside of the box. If you are interested in history, maybe go to not a history teacher conference, but maybe a curator's conference. There's a conference for everything, and a lot of items are virtual right now. So take a real good hard look of the return on investment. In business, it's an ROI. You are the investment. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? And I know that with a teacher salary, sometimes it's difficult, but you're going to be resourceful and you're going to find a way. For example, I really became interested in user experience design, and I went to a conference in Chicago. Everyone at the conference were UX designers, and they asked me, what do I do? I'm like, I'm a teacher. And that actually kind of made me a hot commodity at the table that I was working with, because they wanted a lot more insight to, they had ed tech companies, and it was just interesting. So that goes into networking, with which I'm going to refer to later on.
Yeah, Belinda, I think that's great. And I was also thinking, as you were kind of describing all those other opportunities too, I know you and I have talked about, there's so many opportunities just for classroom teachers to even stay in the classroom, but for that to change a little bit. There's lots of opportunities for them to maybe teach different subjects, or to get into a different style school, or department head, or other leadership opportunities within their school that they might not have explored or thought about, in terms of just enriching their professional satisfaction in those pieces too. So I think that's, as you're walking through this, that's so helpful for them to kind of really start to think about, all like opportunities can be small and big, and doesn't have to always be big changes too.
Oh, yes, completely. And as we go along, you're going to see there are positions that you could possibly create for yourself. So once you gather all of that research about who you are right here in the brain dump in the first two, and then after going to conferences, you're going to start realizing you have this empowered feeling now that you're like, I am an amazing brand. So no, thank you for that, Bria, definitely. And that goes to place yourself where you want to be. So I'm going to discuss networking at the end, but you have to surround yourself with the right people. And I keep going back to like Michael Jordan. It's like, you're going to possibly feel uncomfortable, but let's say you are interested in maybe being a department leader at the district level. Then on LinkedIn, you can find them. Try to get out of that, your mind where you're saying, oh no, I can't talk to them, I can't ask them questions, or I'm too shy. Just do it. It's for you, because you have a lot to offer. And if you take that, like I said, teacher heart, where you're like, oh, I can never leave the kids, and then transfer it to that teacher heart where you're like, I can help so many other students, I can help so many other educators. It becomes your responsibility now to really share your skills, share your brand. So start looking for those things that you're interested in and put yourself there. And that could be school board meetings. Like I said, on LinkedIn, networking with people who are out there, ed tech people, like you're meeting Bria, what is it like to be in that space? And finally, just if you're teaching young little kids, you see this all the time, they have those big, crazy, wild dreams. High school students, most of them have it, but it's okay. You're an adult, have fun with those dreams. And I know sometimes you're scared because you're like, oh, I have a family, I have responsibilities and all of that. But if you really go into it with the mindset that you can, you will, you're going to be resourceful, then it will happen for you. Sometimes you just have to be patient though, because there's not really a timeline like, oh yeah, it'll happen. But Once you start going back all the way over here and saying, I'm just a teacher, I can't, or I'm worried because of this or that, then that's really going to make things longer, or you're possibly never going to get there. So for me, this is the journey that I had to go through. And the next thing that is going to get you to is the beginning of your brand. What do you have to sell? And you're going to use the brain dump, the affinity mapping, the podcast and everything. And you're going to try to focus on one thing first. Now, I know, like I said, you have 5 strengths, but you're going to take those 5 strengths and package it into one thing. And later on, your brand is going to change as you grow. So for right now, these are, out of all of those exercises I did, these are the 3 main things that really popped up, the themes. And for the longest time, I realized I'm really good in creative strategy. And I can call that different things. On my LinkedIn, I put educational visionary. So have fun with the words. If you're not good at words, then go find an English teacher and you can bounce off some great ideas. But use those top items to get that focus and come up with one first. Okay. Bria, I don't know if we have any questions. I don't know if I'm going too fast or.
Yeah, I think that's great. Maybe at the end, we did have a question from someone who wanted us to talk a little bit more in depth about what affinity mapping is and what that looks like. So I thought maybe at the end, you could kind of revisit that and go into that a little bit more.
Yes, of course. I will definitely do that. So we have our focus now. And one thing that you really need to keep your focus going and to be patient and keep going after what you want is identifying your values. Okay. Now, some of you may think, well, why didn't I look at my values before I really came up with my focus? Because this is kind of like your compass. So if you can come up with 3 to 5 values that really identify who you are now. And when you're thinking about a value, think about what benefit do you offer, for whom, how do you solve problems? How do you solve problems for yourself, for other people? What makes you different from other teachers like you? And that's putting everything into play, your career history, your hobbies, your passions. So for me, these were my 3 values that once I really sat down and saw everything I was doing, like, this is what really motivated me. And anything that I do from here on, I really need to say, is it going to be fun for me? Am I going to have some sort of social impact? And I really love working with a team. And you may have something similar to this because it goes along with that teacher's heart. I know sometimes we struggle with all the extra stuff, the paperwork, the meetings, but at the end of the day, the heart of why you're in the classroom is because you truly care about education. So take your time to this. You don't have to do in 3 or 4 minutes. And here's where you could start asking your peers. I highly recommend don't ask your family. I know when I ask my sister and brother, they give me stuff that they remember from when I was little. So ask the people that know you as an adult, hey, what do you think my best skills are? What do you think I have to offer? From your point of view, what do I exude as the values when I'm working with you? So really open yourself up. You're going to have to be a little bit vulnerable. You might hear things you don't want to hear. So especially from your siblings. So be careful with that. Okay. So after you have your value and you have your focus and you're coming up with your brand still, because it's going to evolve a little bit more. Who is your target market for your brand? Now, you get to decide who do you want your audience to be. So sometimes we might pigeon ourselves with those careers that we only know, the instructional coaches, the principals, the department heads. But if you stay away from the job boards on the school website and really come up, like I said, with your focus, your values, and start looking at who do you want to be the recipient of what you have to offer. And that could be one of these or two of them or more, but you can actually have multiples. Do you want it to be just high school students, or maybe just the community that you're in, or even you just might want to work at the school board, or you want to involve all four? Um, of course, if it's focused, four is quite a bit, three is the magic number. But that's really going to help you to weed out all of the many possible career steps that you can take. And then you have to start discovering, okay, where do these people hang out? Is it on LinkedIn? Is it at networking events, a board meeting, those conferences that I was telling you about to invest in yourself in? So you're going to have to do some research. And I guarantee with LinkedIn, it doesn't feel creepy. So you're not stalking people, you're actually connected with them, and it's networking. So finding your audience, like I said, is really helpful with the focus. And then your story is going to start growing. So with the career narrative, that was a story of who you were and who you are now moving forward. You have the tools to really guide where you want to be, what you have to offer, who do you want to be with. So how do you continue telling your story? Like I said, research positions on school sites, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, at networking events, to start hearing about the different things that are out there. In the EdTech world, you may be a phenomenal product developer, product designer, and I'm going to really recommend that you not be afraid of all of the wording in some of the job descriptions. And a little fun fact, as I'm doing networking events and researching, males are more likely than females to go after positions that they don't have all of the qualifications for. So it doesn't matter your gender. Have that audacious goal of, I'm going to go after it because I have maybe 3 amazing skills and qualities for this job, this position, and you're going to really be able to tell your story to market yourself once you go for that job. So aligning your brand, what you're selling, with your values, keep that as your focus as you're looking through these possible careers. So you have to continue to tell yourself, I can do this. They need me. I know I can make a difference. And that's going to give you that little push that you need to apply for something that you don't have all of the assigned qualifications, because you're in your story there, you're gonna find something that aligns with that. Now that also goes with being authentic. So I'm telling you to, if you don't have all those qualifications, still go for it, but don't lie and say, oh yeah, make something up for the other two. If you're truly being yourself, and then you can find something that you've done that aligns with it some way. But that's where asking other people if you're stuck was really going to help you to get unstuck. And LinkedIn is just phenomenal once you start learning how to use that. I've been very fortunate. A company in London actually reached out to me to see if I can do consulting work for them, as they created a user experience design course for K through 12 students, because on my LinkedIn, I put my portfolio and it talked about how I created the first user experience design courses for high school. And that was just because my LinkedIn was my way of telling my story, and I had to grow it. But like I said, adding my portfolio was them seeing what I did. And be unique. This is the hard part. Don't be humble. And when I started getting these recognitions and accolades, I'm like, thank you very much. I'm just a teacher. I'm doing it for the kids. Yes, you are a teacher. You're doing it for the kids. But now I'm realizing I worked hard for the kids, and it is okay to say, I achieved this. I deserve this. And I can give more because of this. So brag on yourself, share with everyone because you have that to offer. So if you feel like you're bragging, get that out of your head, because when you're trying to find that career move, that's the time to brag. And finally, last but not least, always take control of your story. And what do I mean by that? Your portfolio, keep it up to date. Your LinkedIn, take the time to really use all of the characters that they're allowing you in the about me portion. And when you're going to networking events, then here's how to tell a story real quick, is the business concept of the elevator pitch. Can you tell what you have to offer in 15 seconds? So when I started talking to entrepreneurs and I started to going to network events where there are entrepreneurs, startups, I realized, oh my goodness, I have this amazing gift for finding high-level teachers and matching them up with motivated teachers who want to learn something from them. And I took the leap to become an entrepreneur. And I've heard from other teachers that do this, they call themselves teacherpreneurs. And my elevator pitch is, it's 50 seconds. And I say, we all know it takes a village to raise a child, but what does it take to raise up and support a teacher? Well, I'm offering one-to-one virtual career coaching for motivated teachers by highly successful recognized teachers. And if you can do that in 2 sentences, 15 seconds, then you always have control of that. So once again, the research, where did I go to really help me with my story? Talking to people in these events. But I love this book that I got, and I was very lucky. The author is here in San Antonio. And at first, when I looked at the title, I was like, what the heck is this about? And it says, Mommy Lied to God. And it's like, okay, is this a religious book? And I picked it up and it was hilarious. But when I put it down, I just felt empowered. Like, I have my story. I can tell it. It's going to change, but every part is going to be robust and rich, where somebody in the educational field will know I can offer you what you need if you're my right target audience. But I know myself, and I could even say, no, you're not my target audience. I can't work for you. So I highly recommend Mommy Lied to God by Carlos Maestas. And you will, once you start reading it, you will see why it has that title. And last but not least, my favorite, network, network, network. And even though I have a degree in musical theater, I am a very shy person. It takes me a lot. And I started the safe way with LinkedIn. Karen Yankovic's podcast, Good Girls Get Rich, is a fun way to learn more about how to maximize your LinkedIn profile. And she's from New Jersey, so she's got that fast talking wit, and I love that. But you're gonna have to curate your LinkedIn in a way where you're gonna have to be thoughtful about everything. So a couple tips that I have is connect. Every time you ask to connect with somebody, connect with a note, but make it an authentic note for maybe look at that individual. Don't just look and say, oh, they're a superintendent, let me connect with them. Find out, go through their LinkedIn, what they wrote, maybe posts that they're doing, things that they're liking. There's a lot of educators that write articles, and I read them. And if I really like them, then I'm going to say, I appreciate your voice. I would love to connect with you as an educator. And I would say 99% of the times they will connect with me. So that's how you build your audience. And then you have to be active on LinkedIn as well. Now, I'm not saying like Instagram or Facebook posts something every day. I usually post once a week, sometimes once every 2 weeks, but just try to be active and even connect with potential employers or with an educational career that you want. And it might be you want to start stepping into higher ed. And most of the time I'm finding that they are actually posting jobs on LinkedIn that they're not putting out on job boards like Glassdoor and so forth. There was also an EdTech CEO from a company called Gaggle. And he doesn't talk about his company that much, but what he does is he has a running job board. He puts together a document with different ed tech companies that they're hiring, and he knows that teachers are needed in ed tech to come up with products. And you'd be surprised how many ed tech companies have no teachers on their board. So that's another way of finding what is out there. And then I talked about networking, and I apologize. I don't know why. I will fix this. I see the type over that, but I will put the right one in the bold page. Attend events that are outside of the box. So meetups, you can put in networking events if you want business networking events, just to learn how to talk to people, because it's really hard. Most events, if you're an adult, they might give you an alcoholic beverage to help loosen things up. I would stick to 2, don't go past 2. Know yourself, but give yourself a target of speaking to at least 5 people at those in-person events. The school district, you don't know how to talk to certain directors, or you might be in a massive school district. Attend a gala that they might have for fundraising. I've seen a lot of school board members at events, fundraising events for the city that I'm in San Antonio. So make that investment, buy those tickets. And when somebody invites you somewhere new where you know you might meet somebody and maybe like a complete opposite business world that you don't know if you can break into, maybe in cybersecurity, you'd be interested in how many educators can really find a pivot into that world. Just go. It is going to be hard, but the more you do it, like you tell your students, the more comfortable you're going to get with. But if you have your brand with your elevator pitch on what you have to offer, I would highly recommend, not saying, well, I'm a teacher right now. You're an educator. You're a educational, inspirational guide. Really use those adjectives, what people have been telling you, what's amazing about yourself, to help with the networking jitters and so forth. So I have some resources at the bottom to try to help you network. And it's kind of like making yourself accountable for networking. So make a commitment to authentically network with 2 people this week via LinkedIn or in person. And then go ahead and put those 2 people that you linked in with there, right there. If you want to feel more business-like, you can get their business cards and connect with them on LinkedIn if you met them on person. I've seen a lot of people, they use digital business cards or follow them on their Instagram or something like that. So you just have to be in that environment to see what everyone is doing in that industry, in that age group, in that department in your district. Just make yourself go. If you are an overachiever, so you are in the honors classes, then you're going to give yourself a goal for 2 people on LinkedIn, and then a goal for 2 people that are in person this week, networking events. So I highly recommend make that commitment for this week. And if you can make it a habit, maybe next week you'll continue as well. We have holidays coming up, so there's a lot of cool events. Virtual events have been great for networking. And it's just something that they might say that might spark your interest. And you never know where that's going to lead. The London Consulting League, like I said, LinkedIn, but then I also was asked to do podcasts and said, sure. And that led to other people just asking a little bit more. And I took the time to share with what the UX was doing, and that led to other opportunities. So if you need that a little more guidance, we only have about an hour today, but there is a personal branding sheet that I'm putting there, and it's the dummies books. I love the dummies books sometimes if you don't have a lot of time and you just need to get straight to it. But there's another great thought leader on building your strong personal brand, and you have those resources there. So at the end of all of this, it's all about going from that teacher heart to that empowered heart for you, that you know you have so much more to give. I know I threw a lot at you. You have this page, but if you want more, you can definitely follow me. And I'm going to share that I didn't want to do this, but I'm talking to thought leaders in the field, and they're like, marketing, you have to go on TikTok. So I made an investment to pay for someone to help me with TikTok, because my young daughter didn't want to have to teach me that. And it's like teaching your kid how to drive. It just didn't work. I am on Instagram at Bmyvillage. You can go to LinkedIn. I'm Belinda Medellin, and I didn't realize this, there's two. There's one in Austin, and I'm the one that's in San Antonio. Or you can reach out via email at belinda@bmyvillage.com. And I'd be happy to help in any way that I can. But the big first step is to tell yourself, I have to do this. I have to get out of the classroom to help more people and to help myself as well. And you can do it. It's a journey, but you got this. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I know we have some questions, and I'm going to find the affinity mapping so I can share that with you. But are there any other questions in the meantime?
Yeah, Belinda, as you're looking for that affinity mapping, one of the questions came in is, what happens you're not actively looking for a new position, but maybe you are retired or just maybe not ready to look for a new position, but are there certain activities that these are helpful even if you're not in an active job search right now?
Yeah, so definitely. So I'm going to get personal a little bit. Just so I have a 21-year-old, and going from a mom where you're needed all the time to, your child is moving out of the nest, for hobbies and who you are, your new identity, the networking skills are definitely going to help you find a different set of, if you're ready for friend groups, yes, you'll find that, but it's going to also connect you to opportunities to be involved in your community more. Through networking, I was at a co-working space in San Antonio called Geekdom, and that's how I realized I have a product. I could become a teacherpreneur. From there, I was accepted into an accelerator program. From there was a fellowship from Austin that was trying to find social impact leaders. They asked me to apply, and now I'm doing an event on Saturday called Latinitas for future Hispanic female entrepreneurs. And that really isn't something that is with my career or my job, but I'm like, okay, social impact, I value that. And I'm going to be able to make a new set of friends or people in my life that have that same vision. And it gives me something to do because I don't have to focus on my kid as much anymore. So
yeah, that's great. And I think too, as you're working on activities like this, maybe collecting stuff in your portfolio, or even just actively adding things that you're involved in and doing, presenting things like that into your resume as well. I think all of those are reflective practices that just help you get to know yourself better, help understand how you're sharing your story. And so when that time is right, you have all of that work that you've put in and you're ready to really take hold of the opportunities that are in front of you when that timing hits. So I know when we work with students a lot, that's a lot of the messages that we share, is that we may be working with elementary or middle school students, but it's just as important for them to be keeping a portfolio and reflecting and thinking about what they're passionate about and what things connect in their life and their strengths, because that all builds this incredible habit of them being able to be prepared for when that time is right, especially when they get to those junior, senior level, and they're looking for scholarships and opportunities and stuff too. And I think that's the same for us as professionals as well.
Oh, yes, definitely. That's a great question. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And as you're putting up that affinity map too, we just had one other suggestion of adding the link to the gaggle on the job postings onto that template as well. That'd be helpful.
Sure. And I'd like to share my LinkedIn if we have enough time, or are we good on time, Maria?
Great. Yeah, we have a few more minutes.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again and show you the affinity mapping. Okay, so I am making an affinity map and I have that 3 to 4 minutes. I'm just writing in a sticky note, like I said, passions, things I'm good at, like in my job or outside of the job. So I love singing, staying on top of technology trends. I am really good at graphic design sometimes. And one skill I have is impromptu speaking. So I know not a lot of people can come up with things to say on the spot. So once you start your whiteboard with all these sticky notes, and this is even great for your kids to do, you're making as many as possible. And then you start seeing, is there a trend? So for example, this is I'm going to probably start putting that under here because I know it has to do with technology. In my mind, I'm thinking singing might go into impromptu speaking, because if I can speak on the spot, I could probably sing on the spot. And you just drag your sticky notes down and you just make a single column, and you're gonna see that a theme is starting to emerge. So for example, with technology, graphic design, I know my thing is I like meeting UX designer. So if that was another sticky note, then I would just, okay, now technology doesn't want to give me my sticky notes. So I would put that right here. But in the bulb, that's where I actually made a video on affinity mapping. So that goes a little bit more in depth into that. And then my LinkedIn, which you can attach any URLs on there as well. I have my portfolio attached, but if you go to my LinkedIn, it is take your time on what people see immediately. And come on, clicking all over the place. And that's that you have kind of like your elevator pitch, just a few characters to really highlight who you are. And my first line, I realized I really want to help teachers grow. And then from there, don't be humble, sell yourself. Sell your brand. That sounds bad, sell yourself. But put the accolades that you have on there, or, maybe you are proud of that you helped 5,000 students achieve their college dreams. Go ahead and do that. And you can definitely use my LinkedIn as an example, but once you start making connections and networking, take a look at see what draws your eye about their profile as well. Right now, I'm noticing there's a lot of administration, there's a lot of superintendents, APs, not as many teachers on LinkedIn. So it's kind of that sweet spot that you're a teacher and you have an amazing LinkedIn, your chances of getting recognized in a different way are really high right now. And Karen Yankovic actually has a teacher on one of her podcasts. And what's great is her superintendent reached out to her after he found her LinkedIn, and he was like, I didn't know we had this kind of a teacher in our district. So you have to brag on yourself, and LinkedIn's a great place to start. And once you build an amazing portfolio, then you're good to go.
Yeah, that's a great story about just even having other people in your school recognize the things that you're passionate about and things that they might connect with you on, which is great. Belinda, I felt like I took tons of notes. I learned so much from you. Thank you so much for your time tonight. I think we have answered all of the questions. If you guys are interested in connecting more with Belinda, her contact information is on that last slide. And please reach out to her. I call her friend. I appreciate, she has so much wisdom. She's a great person to reach out to. If you guys have any questions about Bulb portfolios or resumes, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. My email is bria@bulbapp.com. And just thank you again for joining us this evening. And thank you for your time, Belinda.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.